Just in a minute, I have received two breaking news, back-to-back breaking news. Hurricane Melissa approaching Jamaica. The storm has strengthened into a Category 4 hurricane, placing northern Caribbean islands, including Jamaica, on high alert in northern America and also in Caribbean areas. The authorities are preparing for catastrophic flooding and strong winds in northern Jamaica. This is a rapidly evolving weather emergency. If you are monitoring this, you will get the latest, but I have back-to-back another breaking news. US President Donald Trump heads to Tokyo for trade and security talks ahead of meeting with Xi Jinping, the Chinese counterpart. Trump is scheduled to travel to Tokyo for discussions on trade and security ahead of an upcoming summit with Xi Jinping. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to SCTV's International Affairs, broadcasting from SCTV's Dhaka studio. My name is Rashid Kanchan. I will be your host, and I have a very distinguished gentleman who understands international affairs very well in a very articulated way. He delivers. Ali Ahmed, former member customs, very veteran bureaucrat, but he proves himself as an academician too. I have Norman Flatbarnes from Washington DC. Let's begin from Norman. Norman, you have so many breaking news right this moment. As I have already shared two items, I think you have more. Please start with the breaking news you are monitoring from Washington DC. Norman.
Greetings from Washington. This morning we start a new week, and President Trump is landing hopefully shortly in Japan, where he meet with the new prime minister, and they hopefully working out a deal for trade and commerce. And at the same time, we have been notified that likely there will be a framework for a trade compromise deal between China and the United States. So that eases a lot of tension currently in place regarding that situation. Once again, we wake up again. We're looking at the east wing of the Washington of the White House. At the White House. So we're looking at the White House as it's being demolished, the east wing, and the new construction is in process, and there's a lot of controversy regarding the whole process.
Yes, Norman, we will definitely keep this subject in discussion, including the US federal shutdowns prospect right this moment. I want to do one back-to-back question to you as you are following Trump's traveling to Japan. The question would be, what are the key objectives of Donald Trump's visit to Tokyo, Japan, and how might they shape US-Japan relations ahead of his meeting with Xi Jinping, Chinese counterpart?
Yes, the purpose of this mission is to accelerate the trade process. Consequently, there's a deal in place with trucks. We have a truck called a Ford F-150. It's a well-known truck, and the president is offering a trade deal where he's going to give them a fleet of trucks. Apparently, the new prime minister likes our Ford trucks, so the president is proposing that a fleet of trucks be given.
All right, Norman, you look very good today, very charming day. I hope you will have a very good day today, because today is Monday in Washington. You have started a new week. I just want to onboard Ali Ahmed, who has expertise in economics, international relations, and of course, the relations between the superpowers. Sir, could these talks signal a potential realignment of the Indo-Pacific security framework, especially regarding China's growing influence, or you call dominance, in this region, sir?
Well, the communist bloc when it was rising immediately after the Second World War, the world at that time, they call it free world, under the leadership of America and other Western countries, UK and others, all getting united, and the regional countries were strung to that, and they called it CETO, CENTO, and especially for Europe, it was NATO, which still is there. CETO, CENTO was in our region, it does not exist anymore. The fear of spread of communism was the main thing in the minds of the leaders of the so-called free world. That is understood, but nowadays China has evolved into a new kind of communism that they did not hear before, nor was there in practice before. So now the fear is more of the economic dominance of China by China of the whole world, especially the USA, which is still ahead of China, but the US economists themselves and the world economists themselves say that in another 4 or 5 years, economy of China will surpass that of the United States. So that is a thing, that is why all these tariffs, all those things, don't think he's of course a little unpredictable, but still what he does is not a normal thing. It's the fear of being swamped, not swamped really, of being superseded by China. And that I believe also, as a poor student of economics, that this is perhaps going to happen. China is growing at a rate which is not matched by the American growth. America is of course still the largest, but that is the fear. So they are trying to tie or to surround China by different methods, trade relations, political relations, and all those things. So that is the purpose. But the thing is, if we ask me later, I will say that the other day they said 100% tariff, and China said, well, I have also 100% tariff on my rare earths, and now he is rushing to China, and there is a framework agreement. Shall we discuss framework agreement now?
So let us do a very small debate, and before that let me welcome our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Panto here in the studio. Ladies and gentlemen, we know United States new foreign policy for China is a little bit shifting from 100% tariff to exchange of rare earth products, and the good thing is, what about the Americans allies in eastern region like South Korea, like Japan, like Philippines, like Vietnam? Let me ask one question to Norman first, then I will come to Shamsul Alam Panto because he has a bundle of breaking news as tips to his table. Norman, my question is, how might Japan balance its strategic alliance with the United States while maintaining economic stability with China and United States?
Yes, as we know, we are experiencing a what I call a stalemate between China and the United States. It appears that both countries need each other. Is more of a interdependence, what they need. We have tariffs, they have rare minerals, rare earth minerals, and Japan is in a situation where they are trying to develop their economy. At the same time, they have to deal with China, and they would like to have a relationship with the United States. So hopefully the meeting the president is having in Japan will calm things down, put together some agreements where the United States and Japan can do some trade, share some different resources, and hopefully reduce the amount of tariffs that currently being implemented in the area. And hopefully this thing will resonate across the region, and China will look at this as a favorable approach by the United States for the region, and they'd be more inclined to do more business.
All right, Norman, let us onboard Shamsul Alam Panto, sir. What are the latest events or news you have in your desk? Along with, after that, I will do a question on Donald Trump is heading to Tokyo. He has a series of meeting with the high-level Eastern Asian leaders, including Xi Jinping and Japanese Prime Minister, South Korean President.
Well, a very warm welcome to all my guests here in the studio today. Good afternoon to our viewers. And of course, one of the things that I picked out for today's discussion was that Donald Trump is in Asia. There's a strategic push in Asia that he believes that will make sure that United States is on the top afterwards when he concludes this visit into Asia and to Southeast Asia. We see the nice reception that Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim had given him in Malaysia on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit that is happening. And of course, the new Prime Minister for Japan is also there in attendance amongst other Asian nations. And of course, one of the things that Donald Trump is trying to show all the leaders here, that he is open to breaking the rules. One of those which include allowing Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim to ride in the Beast, which is US President's car that he uses on his foreign trips. But alongside this, Trump is also trying to make a deal with Brazil. We know that he has opposing views with leftist Lula da Silva. Of course, Donald Trump's policies put him in the right spectrum of the political spectrum. And of course, this time around, he's trying to look forward to a minerals deal, a rare earths deal with China. All of this comes amidst the fact that Donald Trump has ignored or if not said that he's not interested right now to talk with Russian President Vladimir Putin. So this is the dynamic that we are going to be working with this week.
Excellent, excellent, sir. You have given me a different directions, and for that I just thinking one question to you. What implications could this meeting have on global trade policies, particularly in the areas of tariffs, rare earth exports and semiconductor supply chains, because you have good experience on semiconductors and rare earth products?
Well, if it's not just semiconductors, rare earths, take it as you will, they are hard to figure out where to extract it from. Of course, there are lots of development in the scientific field because today in the modern era we require these rare earths for mobile phones, for laptops, for almost all consumer electronics, electric vehicles as well, and even those machineries that are ejected into space for the various space programs the individual countries have. So once again, reiterating the fact that these rare earths will become a matter of discussion between friends and foes alike.
So this is a new dimension of balancing trade between the two rival countries. I have the expert here, and I want to do a diplomatic question to Ali Ahmed. In what ways might Trump's diplomatic style, pattern and his behavior affect negotiations with both Japan and China given current global political tensions?
A very good question, but then again a question which answers for itself. Mr. Donald Trump was in the first term, we saw him, but now we see him in his full fury. He is a person who perhaps he himself only knows what he is going to say tomorrow. So this rare earths thing that he has come to China because after China raised the duty to 100% in response to the Chinese 100% on their electronic goods. Now that they have raised it to 100%, I don't know what has been happening behind the door or behind the screen, but he is now rushing to China to discuss, and there has already been a framework agreement. Framework is prepared, agreement would be done now. Now framework is a good thing, that basic things are said. The American Commerce Secretary was saying this morning on television that the President gave me enough of a rope, so I have been able to frame it with the Chinese. Framework agreement is the basic outlines of things to take place. Now these two, it is likely to be that these two heads of states will meet and will decide after some haggling or some discussions on a particular rate. So he can, and it will end positively, I am sure it will. But then problem is it may not last for 1 month or 2 months, and Trump will again raise some other duties somewhere, judging from his characteristics of doing things globally. So, you cannot say that it is setting a global trend. No, the trend is Mr. Donald Trump himself, uncertainty, unpredictability, and springing surprises on the whole world. That is his style.
Right, sir. We have seen when Donald Trump started his journey 2.0, his focus was to reorganize and fixing things inside America. He altered tariffs with Canada and his allies countries. Then he has focused on Middle East issues. Then he tried to give his full potential focus to Vladimir Putin and Ukraine. Then he has shifted his focus to Latin America. Now he is moving into Asia. A very busy man, very busy president, a very busy person. Norman Floyd Barnes, how do you see from your journalistic point of view, he is shifting his focus so fast, whether he has created so many criticisms inside his country regarding the ballroom production, regarding the Zaharan Mamdani, regarding the National Guard appointment in different cities, and regarding criticism and mocking the mayor of Chicago. What would be your response on that, because you are at Washington DC?
Yes, the president is a very busy man. He has a lot on his plate, and his issue is that he do not have time. He have a very short period of time, maybe 3 years, to accomplish these tasks. His mission is to reshape America internally and externally, and he is doing it through deals. He's trying to make deals, and at the same time, he's trying to set a new standard. Anywhere from you're looking at the White House, he's trying to set a new standard in terms of how do we meet and greet our guests. He's setting up this big grotesque, I call it grotesque, but grandiose type of meeting ballroom for the meeting of guests. And at the same time, he's trying to control the narrative, basically what people say, what people do, how we react, and how we deal with the media, and how do we deal with trade and commerce. So he's a very busy man. There's a lot going on his plate. The agenda is is not a planned agenda, it's more of a reactive type of situation. And we just have to wait and see what's going on, because tomorrow is a new day and everything changes.
Yesterday I was telling that in recent years there was a survey that usually regarding the foreign affairs, 91% of the time State Department used to respond and Secretary of State used to respond, then final finishing was supposed to be given by the President. But this time the survey is completely opposite. President is responding 93% of the time, and Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, is muted. He is responding only 3-4% of the time, and rest of the time no response from Washington DC. Let us shift our focus to Middle East, because new things is happening. After a ceasefire with Israel, the Gaza Strip is now described as a horrific, unmapped and minefield, where clearing unexploded bombs may take 20 to 30 years, and already hundreds of civilians have been killed or wounded. I want to begin this particular issue with Shamsul Alam Pantho. He has a very deep and analysis study on this. Sir, what are the immediate humanitarian priorities in Gaza given the unexploded ordnance crisis? It is a new kind of crisis are coming to the global medias.
Well, thank you for shifting the focus of today's topic into the Gaza ceasefire and the Gaza situation. One thing I would want to point out to our viewers, we usually tend to see how the US administration is of support to the Israeli Knesset and how the Israeli administration is been what they have been doing towards Gaza. But one of the things that the US did not see eye to eye was when the preliminary bill passed regarding the annexation of the West Bank, which would of course inadvertently break this ceasefire, which is still remaining so very fragile. One of those characters, especially Marco Rubio, had stepped out in outright disagreement that you cannot take such a step, which would definitely create make sure this ceasefire is faltering. And of course, there is a reputation of Washington who is at stake here. Of course, when Donald Trump was asked about this question, he said that is not just not going to happen. These are the words that President Donald Trump had used when questioned regarding annexation of the West Bank. And we know that the death toll has surpassed 68,000 as of recent by the Gazan Health Ministry. Of course, the entire world is trying to understand how long this ceasefire is going to hold, especially that Donald Trump has now moved on towards Asia, trying to understand what is the competencies when looking into a country such as China, someone who has diverse manufacturing processes which you don't see in the United States of America. That is what Donald Trump wants to create, an America which is of course a manufacturing hub for the world. To get there, one must understand where China and in the modern day lies. According to CNN, Donald Trump is now creating a plan to move into Japan to talk with the Japanese community. But coming back to your original question, the attacks on the Gazan people are, of course, a perfect example of a modern day active genocide.
And as you always said, this is a fragile ceasefire. You are stick on that. I really appreciate one thing. Once, while answering one questions, you give me the cue of other subjects which has more value on the topics. I really appreciate it, sir. I have learned it from you. Thank you very much. That's why I always say new brain, new idea, new implications. Sir, I want to come to Ali Ahmed. He is very experienced on, sir, what long-term implications does this have for reconstruction, rebuilding and return of displaced Palestinian or Gaza people, because ultimately this is the goal.
Yes. The thing is, very surprisingly, Donald Trump, even after this so-called ceasefire that is now holding, he still thinks of Gaza and thinks of disapproving or actually disapproved this annexation of the legally, lawfully annexing the West Bank. This is very surprising because he doesn't stick to any one place or any one subject. So he now appears serious, or at least somewhat serious. So if that continues, it will be done by all. There are the rich Arab countries, there are West European countries, private American rich men who are agreeable to do these things, but it is going to take a long time. And before that, this has to be demined to save people's lives. As you must have seen already, a news has come that Egypt and the World Bank have joined this demining work in Gaza. So I believe that they will soon be joined by some others, but still it is going to take a long time. But meanwhile, what do you do with 2 and 2.5 million Gazans without having any shelter whatsoever? I do not know what are they going. It is not a house that you stay elsewhere and come later. It is a country sort of. So you are going to these planners, these people who say they will bring peace. They must make I should say not really permanent, but somewhat shaky shelters for these Gazans coming there, and then build in one side, shift them gradually, build the markets and other things gradually. As you said in your writing, that it's 20 to 30 years, maybe it may be more. The World Bank has estimated that their estimated cost would be about $53 billion. But if it works for 10 years, 15 years, then this 53 billion itself will have an effect of the monetary consequences, and it will be 60, 65, 70. So it maybe we do not know what it is going to be, but it is a very difficult question where these people will be there now that the winter is coming and Gaza is not a very warm place during the winter. Where and how they will live? Supplying some blankets is not enough. They don't have water supply, they don't have electricity, they don't have house, they don't have public toilets, nothing whatsoever. I don't know how they are going to do it. And in the meantime, in this he, Mr. Netanyahu,
Right, sir.
has
We'll go for a short break, but before the break, I want to do my last question to Norman. Norman, I was this morning listening NPR radio broadcasting, and suddenly I was hearing the voice of Zahran Mamdani. He said, New Yorkers, New York is not for sale. New Yorkers, President Donald Trump cannot buy this election. And he says, who has the confidence on CIC? I did not understand the meaning of CIC. Later I found Commander-in-Chief. Who has the respect on CIC? Who has the confidence on CIC? New York election is going to give new dimensions for 2026 midterm. Do you believe it? And I want to add one more question with this regarding the Gaza issue. How should responsibility for clearance and reconstruction be shared among Israel, Palestine and international actors like European Union and Middle East countries? This is the big question now.
Yes, actually, that's a real big question. It's a big mouthful. Basically, New York situation. It looks like there will be a new mayor for New York, and Trump will probably not like the person that will win. That is going to create another situation between the mayor and the new mayor and the current president. So we have to wait and see how that works. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, right? Because it's a what if situation. But the more important response is Gaza. Gaza is a living and breathing minefield. This is a very serious situation. War has consequences. This is one of these consequences. Unexploded bombs is a threat to any type of ceasefire in the progress of this area. It is very dangerous. There has to be a concerted effort globally to get in there and start clearing out these mines. This process will take probably 30 to 40 years. It may take longer. And we're still finding mines in Europe from World War II. So you can imagine we have at least 51 to 60 million tons of rubble, and it's inundated with mines. We have people trying to get back into the country. Just imagine women, children, elderly coming up on mines. So there has to be a very aggressive plan for training, identification, and they have to get in there and train the people how to identify, how to secure it, how to be safe. The security for the humanitarian workers has to be cleared. There's nothing is going to happen, no redevelopment, anything until these mines are addressed and cleared. It's going to take a lot of effort. The UN need to take control of this because this is not going away. This is going to be the war that keeps on going. The mines will blow up, people get killed. They need to have medical staff trained to deal with this stuff, and they need to have emergency and they need to have clearance from the United States and Israel for people to go in there to help do it right. It's going to take a long time.
All right, Norman, I'm going for a break, but before the break, I want to share the latest poll in New Yorker mayoral election done by AARP, one of the very reputed polling organization, along with Gotham Polling and Analytics shows Zahran Mamdani sir 43.2% with Andrew Cuomo. He's trailing 28.9 and he is declining day by day, and Curtis Silva is 19.2. Therefore, Curtis Silva is out of race. And another poll release shows Mamdani topping 50% among likely voters, widening his lead over his opponents. That means Norman is correct. President Donald Trump is going to lose election in New York. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be very shortly return to studio because we have so many things to discuss. Very interesting, very hot news. As let us go for a short commercial break.
সারা দেশে লাখো মানুষের কঠোর কর্মতৎপরতা ও নিষ্ঠায় এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন 16 কোটি মানুষের হাতের নাগালে। দীর্ঘ 30 বছর ধরে বিশ্বস্ততা ও দ্রুততার সাথে সেবা দেওয়ায় গ্রাহক সেবায় এখন শীর্ষে। বাংলাদেশে গ্রাহক সেবার সাফল্যের পর এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন বিশ্ব বাণিজ্য কেন্দ্র সিঙ্গাপুরে। আপনার যে কোনো পণ্য সিঙ্গাপুর থেকে বাংলাদেশে বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন। এসএ পরিবহন প্রাইভেট লিমিটেড, লজিস্টিক্স পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, 22 রবার্টস লেন, সিঙ্গাপুর 218302। ফোন 0065 629 24900। বাংলাদেশ থেকে সিঙ্গাপুরে পণ্য বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন ঢাকা সহ দেশের যে কোনো 80টি শাখা কেন্দ্রে। এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, আপনার সেবা সব সময়।
Welcome, Grand Palace Hotel, Dhaka. A majestic lobby blending timeless elegance with modern design. Experience 5-star.
Where 43 million people are suffering food crisis because food bank service has been stopped in entire United States of America. 51 states right this moment suffering. I want to onboard our geopolitical correspondent from Washington DC, Norman Flad Barnes. Norman, he is losing his control on federal shutdown programs. He is losing control on 43 million people's food bank. He is losing his control on the federal services. He is also losing his control on his own city where Trump Tower is over there in mayoral election. What would be your comment? He is trying to reshape Asia.
Yes, the situation here as a result of the federal government shutdown, continuous shutdown, there appears to be no relief in the near future. At the same time, the federal workers and Americans are suffering. We have long lines here in Washington, people, federal workers out of work. They are trying to get food. The food banks are inundated and they are running out of food. And at the same time, the federal program SNAP, which provides food subsidies for low-income and disabled people in the United States, runs out of money the 1st of November, which means people will have to go without food and other necessary essentials as we come upon winter. That is creating a very dire situation here in the States. The state governors are trying to find funds, but they do not have enough funds to sustain this. It was largely dependent on the government. So as the government shuts down, continue to shut down, the pressure is going back to our lawmakers. And it appears that that shift is going to go back to the people who are instigating the blockage. The Republicans are not going to move, and the Democrats are at the same time is still putting on the pressure. The people are suffering. So there'll be more layoffs. The people are losing jobs. The airlines will soon be a situation where they will not have enough people to maintain to keep the airways safe. Our military and our law enforcement people, even the Capitol Police who protect the lawmakers, are working without pay. They are trying to get a plan to deal with that, but at the same time, people need resources so they can sustain themselves.
All right, sir. All right, sir. All right, sir. Let me get the comment of our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Panthu, because Why I am connecting him right this moment? When shutdown begins, he was traveling Washington DC. He has described the situation in the street, in the station, in the different important offices of personally with me and in the show also. Sir, I have framed one question for you right this moment. What are the main political and budgetary disagreements that have led to the current federal government shutdown in the United States? Because when you was in Washington DC, it was day 1. Today is day 27. Donald Trump is right now heading to Tokyo. When he will be back, it will be 30th day, and previous record is 33rd day. My question is, the commentators in CNN and CBC, they said this government is like as coal engine train.
Well, thank you for asking me a question regarding the government shutdown that is still ongoing in United States of America. I think the last shutdown was for 35, if not 37 days.
35 days.
35 days.
The longest so far.
So, which is
That was also during his time.
Yes, back in 2018, if I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
wrong.
Yes, sir.
So, once again, we must understand what the deadline to relieve these government workers who are now proceeding on. As Norman was saying, that from November 1st, they are set to run out of money. Various governmental institutions who look towards to the betterment of societies and people around, not only in New York, but also around the 50
But also
states.
air traffic controller.
Of course, this was one of the major issues. Even when I was coming back from United States of America, the ATC tower controllers who work there are stationing a silent protest in not appearing at the towers. And what that has done is it's given a bad demoralization in between their culture. And of course, flights have been affected from various cities and towns in America. So once again, Donald Trump, he is on an Asian tour at this moment, but he must understand that the people of his country are now enraging and wanting to know when this government shutdown will be over.
I apologize. I was supposed to come to Ali Ahmed, but as Norman has only 3 minutes, I want to get his very valuable comment on one, I should say, very angle type of question, where the most powerful country is facing the financial shortage. He is building a $300 million ballroom. He is trying to reshape the Asian economy. What the message is going to his counterparts like Xi Jinping, Chinese president, and Japanese prime minister, and also South Korean president, also to other world?
Well, let me explain something, an old proverb, actually, of Chinese. You never leave your home and do business without taking care of your house first. Meaning you have to make sure your home, your family, and everybody is taken care of before you can do business. If you do not do that, you have lost face. You have no credibility. You can't. How you expect to do business with me when you can't take care of your own house? Your house is in shambles and you want to do big deals. That does not make sense, and it does not garner respect and credibility on a global scale. So yes, there's discussions, there's deals made, but in the back of the mind, the credibility of this administration is being questioned because of their inability or their insensitivity on dealing with issues at home. Take care of home first.
All right, Norman, let me tell you very honestly why I like your journalism, because you have the ability, you have the braveness to speak from a bird's eye point of view. I really like it, and I appreciate you for your very, very neutral journalism. Thank you very much, Norman. We will see you tomorrow, and from tomorrow we will be connecting our Pakistan correspondent, Mr. Musab, who is currently traveling in New York. He will give us the updates on New York mayoral election. Am I right, sir? This is the order you have given. So we will be double connecting to USA tomorrow. Sir, I want to come back to you. You are hearing $300 million ballroom while federal amount is getting down to be zero on 31st, and federal employees will not receive their check, and President himself, Commander-in-Chief, is trying to reshape Asian economy.
Yes. But the thing is, this money is not spent from the federal budget or federal government exchequer. Where from is it being spent? By private donors, private businessmen. And who are they? Nobody has named. So, the President's house is being renovated, making it having a warehouse or having a big ballroom with 1,000 people's capacity, and money is given by unknown sources. Should a government, can a government accept money from unknown sources for its own work? Absolutely illegal.
Sir,
immoral.
just for your kind information, White House has declared the sources of this $300 million from Apple Incorporation, Amazon Incorporation, Google LLC, Meta Platforms, Microsoft Corporation, Lockheed Martin Corporation,
So they have named
Palantir Technologies, but the question is 90,000 square feet ballroom.
ballroom.
Go ahead, sir.
So, the question is, yes, we know the names, but why? Because they have been given serious tax cuts, and at the cost of the poor man's insurance for treatment and medicine. And that is where the shutdown has come for. The Republicans, the Democrats now want that you give us money for this so-called Obamacare, for the poor man's relief insurance, and they won't give it. They would take donations from these people and rebuild the White House. 1,000 persons can dance at a time, or can dine, or can have a meeting, or whatever it is. This is immoral, illegal, and absolutely unacceptable to me and to the Americans and to the rest of the world. People do not remain a president forever, he must remember.
All right, sir. We all love democracy. We all appreciate democracy. To be very honest, I was in a traveling during his election, and when I see that American people has re-elected Donald Trump for their president, I thought America started a journey towards not to lead, to be leaded. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back after a short commercial break.
In suites and rooms, sophisticated fine dining restaurant, crystal clear swimming pool for ultimate relaxation, modern gym and serene spa for well-being. Perfect venue for corporate events, weddings and parties. Seamless and secured, elegant and eye-catching design. Indulge, relax, discover the first 5-star chain hotels in Bangladesh. Grand Palace Hotel Dhaka, 22 Kakrail, Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Welcome to Grand Club at Mirpur.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Dear humble request, my request to my panelists today, because we need to give a focus on Russia-Ukraine situation. due to Donald Trump's too much move, Russia-Ukraine getting less focus. I want to keep on board power grid and energy infrastructure attacks in Ukraine in context of the Russia-Ukraine war. First, I want to get the comments from Shamsul Alam Pantho sir. Sir, renewed strikes by Russian forces on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, including power plants and grid facilities, are increasing risk of winter blackouts as the war enters its 1,300 plus days mark. So my question is, how critical are these strikes to Russia's war strategy and Ukraine's defense capability?
Well, thank you for asking me a question regarding Russia-Ukraine war that is still ongoing. And of course, as you said, the winter months are approaching, and if you can't compare winter of Europe to winter of Bangladesh per se, but of course, when you are wielding war or waging war, weather and conditions of the playground or the play field or the battlefield, might I say, is quite so important. But one of the things that I picked out in world news regarding this issue was there was a meeting between NATO leadership and the coalition of the willing membership of a group of countries who have stepped out from Europe and UK, who is planning to reconstruct Ukraine to the best of its capacities. They are arguing that they are going to take Russian oil and gas off of the global market. This is going to have a drastic effect towards the Russian economy. We picked out on how the two big oil producers of Russia have been now facing sanctions by United States. So that is one of the developments that there are regarding this issue. But however, world policy and narratives are shifting with Donald Trump's travel to Asia, but one cannot ignore that Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky is still battling out on the eastern flank of Ukraine. We know that the Zaporizhia power plant was shut off for many months during this warlike stance, which is now being visited by the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Association, to understand whether or not this plant can still generate electricity. So these are one of the major developments that are happening.
Yeah, I found very diversified comment from you. So I want to talk to Ali Ahmed, former member customs, who has shown his ability on international affairs. Sir, one thing recently I am watching RT, Russian state-owned television, Russian Today. They are also giving reports on economic collapse, economic turmoil, economic instability and economic situation within the Russia and international trading. Even India is not giving them advance products until Russia is paying by ruble. My question is, in recent time, Volodymyr Zelensky seems more confident regarding the war with Putin, where Putin seems less confident. Why? This paradigm shift.
These economic difficulties that Putin has been facing, and also the loss of their soldiers, etc. They have been borrowing our soldiers from North Korea.
North Korea.
Yeah, and that is a great problem. And there is an estimate that they have lost about 1 million persons in the battlefield. And for Russia, where war is population is not very big, though their army is big in size, but loss is also very great. So he does not feel very happy, naturally. And the problem is, he is very determined to not only to get what he has already occupied in Ukraine, but he wants to grab the whole of the Ukraine as theirs. But that is impossible. We told in the past occasions that Europe thinks that if Ukraine is taken over, as Donald Trump has said they can, then the rest of Europe is also not safe. So the Europe thinks that Ukraine is the frontier of their own country, and they are this coalition of the willing. It came into being because Donald Trump appeared sort of unwilling or hesitant or so. And the last meeting in UK, you saw, the last meeting, if you have marked, last was the talk with in the room with the British Prime Minister and Zelensky. And when they came out, both were smiling very pleasantly, if you have marked it. So there has been some sort of assurances from British Prime Minister, whatever he can do. They have also long range missiles, though it is not up to Tomahawks, but still they have. And they said before that they are also going to create manufacturing facilities in Ukraine. So the war is not going to end with Russia's victory, as Donald Trump first thought, and then later he gave a sort of lip service. He is not serious. He refused supplying Tomahawk to Zelensky. That was very frustrating for Zelensky and the rest of Europe. So I don't know what is coming up, but still the war is not over, and as the Russian president feels confident they are going to win, so does the rest of Europe. They are confident they are not going to let any part of Europe go to Russian territory.
Exactly, sir. In favor of this world, one of the top media, Washington Post, has written international support for Ukraine may ramp up. Addressing energy security and civilian protection. They also written the attacks highlight that infrastructure is a front line in modern warfare, leading to innovation in resilience. I want to do a little question to Shamsul Alam Pantho, our international affairs commentator, because he is following this every move of these events. Sir, could Ukraine's recovery and rebuilding plans be permanently hampered by such Russian attacks day by day?
Well, one of these Russian attacks that the international media picked out, that at least 3 people were killed and 32 injured in the capital Kiev in an overnight Russian drone attack. These kind of news that happen on a daily basis when regards to this war. And of course, you mentioned the reconstruction of Ukraine. One of those European leaders who seem to be very supportive of Volodymyr Zelensky is, of course, Italian Prime Minister Meloni, who seems to be in a position of trying to avoid any kind of escalation towards Russia, but also being completely supportive of Ukraine, and that Ukraine's international sovereignty was attacked by the Russian military. And of course, if you cannot protect Ukraine at this moment, the next country may be Poland, it could be Hungary, it could be Finland, which is dealing with a border attack by Russia. And if given the size of Russia as a country, it is more of the size of a continent, if you would ask me. So once again, if you look at Europe, it's not as vast and big as Russia, but it is a collection of countries, various cultures, various backgrounds that make up Europe and the UK. And we used to know that the colonial powers actually came from this part of the world even back in the day. So we have to understand where there will be a ceasefire, when there will be a ceasefire, whether or not Donald Trump is going to shy out like he has done so in the past, as Mr. Ali Ahmed was saying. But if you look back at the very first time Volodymyr Zelensky was in the White House during the Donald Trump presidency, he was bullied to an extent that world leaders just does not expect.
That was very unprecedented.
Unprecedented. So. Yeah. That actually opened the eyes of European nations alike, that said that we need to have some kind of understanding between ourselves and not always expect help from the United States.
Very, very articulated response. I really appreciate you, sir, for your expertise on this particular. Sir, I want to do the last question to you. As I was listening NPR radio broadcasting, they says damage on civilian infrastructure causes massive humanitarian suffering and long-term economic harm for both the countries, including the NATO members and United States also. Investing heavily in military infrastructure protection may divert resources from development and reconstruction. I want to add one quote from Mother Teresa. She said, we cannot stop the natural calamity, natural disaster, but we can stop the war. We can stop the quarrel between the leaders, because war begins by the leaders and it is the soldier and general people dies. Sir, I want to hear from you. You are a very experienced person on this. You have seen so much.
Well, Mother Teresa is dead now, but he is so well respected while alive and still now. She has been also uplifted to sainthood by the Roman Catholic religion. So she said a very great thing, yes. But the common people can also do one thing. They can get together. It takes time, but they can get together to throw out these sort of rulers who are causing harms to their countries. as you see, have been happening in so many countries, even in our countries, surrounding areas. They can be thrown out also in Europe, because there is democracy in most of these European countries. So they are voted out through election. Here votes are not generally good, so they are through insurgency and all those things. But this is true. The people always suffer for wars. It is the ambition or personal whims or personality clashes between or among the leaders of the world that leads to warfare, and it leads to wastage of resources, killing of people, and also destruction of this infrastructure, both civilian and military. And European infrastructure especially is so integrated that if you destroy it in one place, all the other countries also suffer. So Europeans have also to be together to stop it while it's still not too late. I believe they will do that.
I appreciate both of you, sir, and also Norman. Let me draw the bottom line of today's show. We have discussed so many important events and issues, but I want to conclude today's show with a very valuable quote by Ronald Reagan. He has written in his book at White House. He said, "The greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets people to do the greatest things." Ladies and gentlemen, I will again see you tomorrow.